Welcome to Starter Beauty TV, where beauty starts with you. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like this video. So today is the first episode of Cooking for Diabetes, and we are making cranberry scones. As you know, I've said in a previous video, I've been diabetic now, type 1, for several years, and I've been learning how to cook. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this recipe that I found on cookinglight.com. And it's just a quick scone recipe, but I did add cranberries to make it a little bit funner. So we're going to add 2 cups of flour. And I got this little measuring cup thing from the dollar store, which is kind of awesome because it has some of everything. I'm using Splenda as opposed to actual sugar, obviously because we're doing a diabetic friendly recipe. So I'm taking 3 tablespoons of the Splenda and adding it to our 2 cups of flour. And now we're using baking powder, and we're just going to go ahead and get 1.5 teaspoons of the baking powder. And the last thing is some salt. I don't usually keep salt in my house, so I just used some salt we had left in the shaker and made 1 teaspoon of the salt. That's the end of our flour mixture, and unfortunately my camera died when I put in the wet mixture, but I am mixing just the flour, just a powder mixture with a whisk, and then adding butter. I used unsalted butter. Again, I do not like a lot of salt. I cubed it and then I diced it with the 2 knives in the powder. You can use a machine that does this, but since I didn't have it, it gave the option of doing 2 knives. So again, I missed the liquid mixture, but it was just 1.5 cups of almond milk, 1 egg white, and vanilla extract. I'll list the recipe below. Once I put it in, I started to knead the dough. Now we're going to go ahead and get a pan and prepare it for the oven. Your oven should have already been preheated to 425 degrees. We're going to put some flour on the pan, and then we're going to put flour in our hands so we can work with the dough and add our dried cranberries. I'm using these Ocean Spray dried cranberries. They are a lot less sugar than the other ones, so it is very helpful as far as our healthy recipe today. We're going to go ahead and knead out the dough on the flour in just in about an 8-inch or so circle. And then we're going to get our dried cranberries and sprinkle them on top. Once we get the desired amount, we'll go ahead and continue to knead the dough. That way we're working the cranberries within the dough right before we prepare them to go in the oven. You can put more or less if you like. The recipe called for 1/3 cup. I put about that, I guesstimated, but I could have used a lot more. It really added a good taste to it, and it kind of supplements the lack of like sugar, and it's really good. So, and you can put something else in there. You can put dried blueberries or whatever dried fruit you want, and just alter it to taste like you want it to taste. And now we're cutting the dough. We're not actually cutting through it, but we're making the slits in it. We'll cut through it once it's done. Right now we're just making the slits in the dough. We're going to do this and go around and make it 12 pieces total. Each piece should calculate to about 149 calories, but that's if you use regular milk and regular sugar and a full egg. We supplemented so much, I'd venture to say each piece would be about 100 calories. Now we're sprinkling on some almond milk. You're supposed to brush this on over the dough. I don't have a brush, so I sprinkled it on 2 teaspoons and then I rubbed it in with my hands. And then we're going to do the same thing for the Splenda. Sprinkle that on and coat it over the top right before we put it in the oven. BTW, this is my first time ever making a diabetic treat, and really I don't bake at all, so this is kind of one of the first times of me baking, period. But it came out really good, and it was an easy, simple recipe. So if you are diabetic and you miss desserts and treats and anything sweet like I do, then you'll love this. So now we already put it in the oven. It's been 17 minutes and we're taking it out. It's lightly browned. We sliced it completely through, plate it, have some coffee, and enjoy. Hope you guys liked. Subscribe.